Alright, let's do a little video here. Um, haven't done one of these in a few weeks. Haven't done one yet for the month of July. It is July 18th, 2026. We got our 6-month, 3-month, 2-month, and monthly close at the start of this month, and so kind of just wanted to jump in and talk about it. Talk about things. Nothing really has happened over the last few weeks. Been kind of chopping around since that drop we got back in June. But let's kind of talk about where we're at, and I kind of see things still trending how I've talked about all year. I still think we have lower to go. We're kind of in this little range recently on most crypto, just kind of chopping around the last few weeks. But I actually want to start with our, let's start top down. Start with our 6-month. So here's the 6-month we got that closed, as of the last day of June. And here's our new 6-month open we have, and as you can see, for Bitcoin we did actually break the low of the previous 6-month, and now we're getting up right off of the 10 SMA. So we did have a new low for this 6-month, which is nice, but based on other time frames, I still believe we're going to go a little bit lower than where we got to. Usually when you get a topping candle like this, you'll get a few, candles to the downside. Typically you don't just get one and then you're right back up. I mean, it can happen. It's crypto, so it is possible. But I still think we have another candle lower here, and then maybe get back up within the next 6 months. So I mean, this is a very bearish continuation candle that we really should see more downside over the next 6 months. Let's go to our 3-month that we got. It's very bearish, red 3, right into our 20 though. So we did come down and find support into our 20 SMA. But usually when you get a candle like this, it did break the low of the previous 3-month, but you can see the 8s rolling over the 10 here. Usually when this happens, you start to get more of a drop, and we should see with this 3-day or 3-month candle, we should see more downside. Usually you will. So let's look at the 2-month. We got a red reversal 2-month. This is pretty bearish. We broke the high of this green, this little, neutral green candle 2-month. You got up initially, and then you came back down. Moving averages have twisted back here. Now they're starting to roll down right here. You're below the 20. You closed way below the 20. You're getting an initial retracement up to get an upper wick. And who knows, maybe this might, close green over the next 2 months, and then maybe get another red, and these moving averages will tighten even more. And then you can dump over the last, 2 months of the year. If this is a 2-month candle, you get another red setup candle, and then your last 2 months of the year, you could dump. On the 2-month, it doesn't look like it's necessarily ready to just go right now, just because the 8 and the 10 are above the 20. They haven't crossed yet, so I mean, it still could go, it still could dump, but usually it likes to wait for these moving averages to catch up. Just keep looking. So I mean, the 1-month, it's ready to go now. So outside the exception of the 2-month, and even the 2 month, you can still drop, but all these time frames are kind of showing that, and look at this monthly reversal as the moving averages cross the 20. The 8 and the 10 cross the 20 back here, crosses here, crosses here. You chop up into the moving averages rolling down. You get your reversal candle right here, red reversal. You dump the following month. And like I said, usually, you get multiple candles down after a nice reversal setup like this. Like this is perfect. So, we have 13 days, 10 hours left in the month. We've come up about halfway to this previous red candle. Usually this is where you would start to continuation down. So makes me wonder if the rest of the month we will trade down. Or will we come up, and close the month, a big green candle, and, maybe it's a trap candle where you close up high near the moving averages, and then the next month you sell back down and then continue selling down after that, just to pull the moving averages even tighter. It is possible we could see something like that. Kind of a gray area in the short term. We could get up here, or we could just drop from here. I've talked about my targets. They still remain the same. I haven't changed my opinion of where I think we're going to get to. I think we will get to that 54, 53K area, and then possibly down to 42K. I've kind of talked about those targets all year. I still stick with those. I still think that's where we're going this year. And then we'll have to see after that. Take it day by day. So that's the monthly. Let's go to our 3 week. And the 3 week's interesting because we do have this kind of, green. It's not a hammer, but it's like a green hanging man candle with a lower low. So you can get up off of them. We haven't broken the high yet of this candle, so we got close. Like we got within, pretty much neutral, highs here. Here the moving average is way up here, so makes me wonder if we could come up near the moving averages and then roll back down. This is a newer 3 week candle because we still have 15 days, 10 hours left, so a lot can happen here. This could also be a trap, like a bull trap candle where we just dump off of this, off of this candle. It's just very kind of neutral-ish. It does have a lower low though, so it could get up. But I don't know. I would never go long off of a candle like this. You're still below the moving averages. And it's just not a very strong looking candle for the 3 week. But it is green, so something to consider. Our 2 week, kind of the same thing. We do have, a lower low, green, neutral kind of candle here. The 8 has crossed the 10 again. It's still all sloping down. You're just kind of chopping sideways. So we'll probably get, the new 2 week closes in 1 day, 10 hours. If this goes red, then we'll definitely, probably, more than likely going to be rolling over the next 2 weeks. But it is green, so I don't know if they're going to need another 2 week setup candle before dumping. So we'll have to see how this kind of turns out. 1 day, 10 hours. Let's see, it's Bitcoin is trading at current price is 64,120, and its open price was 63,650. So it's not that far away. So this candle will go up and down, and we'll kind of have to see before tomorrow's close, like where it's at. If it's red, I'm definitely thinking, we're probably going to drop, off of this candle. Let's see, does it have a higher high? So no, it's neutral with this. This one actually has a little bit higher high, so this would be an inside candle, whatever it is. And this is not a candle I would long off of, just because of how close the moving averages are that are rolling down. a lot of times these candles can be fake outs. Like even if this closed up higher and got like a little small hammer inside of this, that could still end up being a fake out where maybe the next 2 week candle you initially start to get up, but then you start selling back down because of the pressure of the moving averages. Um, I don't usually um, like a bottoming situation. Like I would really have wanted us to keep dropping here, pull away from the moving averages, get a green hammer down here, and then blast back up through the moving averages. Like this is just chopping. There's no sign that that this is a bottom forming and we're rolling back up above the moving averages. We're just chopping sideways. Like we're price action is just waiting for these moving averages to come down and force it down lower. Um, and this was kind of a BS thing that they did for many weeks back here. Like we chopped sideways and then somehow they managed to pull them above the moving averages just to sell them back down through them. I really hated a lot of this setup back here. This is usually uncommon trading. Usually off of a 2 week like this, you chop, there's a 2 week candle, 2 week, and then you get your red reversal right here. You should dump off of that. But this was kind of silly price action, how they did this. But your 20 here really acts as, we really haven't got above the 20 SMA on the 2 week, yet. And if we go down to a weekly, let's look at a weekly. It kind of held a lot of this, until it started to come back above here and then sold back down. This was just weird price action this year. The way they've been trying to, sell down on Bitcoin, like you can ultimately tell they're selling Bitcoin, we're shorting, but the way they're kind of going about it has just been kind of weird this year. But here we are, these are our weekly candles. This is what we have to work with now. If we get a red weekly tomorrow, like if this closes down, this will be a kind of a unicorn short on the 1 week, and it'll be on the 2 week as well. We'll have the 1 week and the 2 week. The only problem is we're still, going to be fighting with this green 3 week for the next 15 days, 9 hours. So, they could drop it off of this candle. This could be a trap candle and we just drop it off of. I don't know how they're going to do this, where if they're going to want to close first, and then drop it. But then we're looking at a potential green monthly because, our monthly basically has no lower wick. Like there's not much lower wick on the new monthly. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how this all plays out. Because we really should be, going lower here. The 3 week is just in the back of my mind, and I can't really just forget that we do have this lower low green candle here to work with. So, and we'll see how that plays out. Let's see here. Let's go down to a daily. Or actually, let's start with the 3-day, because the 3-day actually looks kind of topping. However, the moving averages aren't right. We have this red hanging man candle. We had a hammer that, we could have rolled up off of, but, we get this red 3-day instead, and, a lot of times, you can drop off of this type of candle. However, our moving averages are kind of rolling here. We've kind of got a 1-2 bottoming, temporary bottom where we could get up for a while. So it'll be interesting. I mean, this is not a candle I would go long off of. I mean, I would definitely think more short off of a candle like this, but I'm just not playing anything until the moving averages look right with the candle. And maybe tomorrow's the day where things start looking a little more right. You get a red hammer on the 2-day. Moving averages are rolling up here, so I mean, if you can do a drop pop you know, and get a green hammer on these 2-day moving averages, like we could see a nice move higher. And I would look for, you know, maybe a day or two of a long position just to catch it. You know, because that's starting to set up on the 2-day. Here's a little hangman candle. It's not the most bullish. The 8 and the 10 are sitting pretty high above the 20. Usually I like to see the 8 and the 10 roll up above the 20, and then you get a green, you know, hammer with a big body saying that, hey, we're probably going higher. This is just sitting too high up for me to like be in love with it to take a long off of. I would kind of like to see us get up here and then get a red inverse, twist the 8 back over the 10, and then sell down. So, I mean, and then we have this potential, like, you know, channel thing I have prematurely drawn. There's a, you know, let me delete that. There's a few touches on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, so we definitely have a lower trend line that we have forming, and we only have 2 touches on the top currently. You know, this top trend line isn't, you know, gospel or anything. It can change. It's just something I have, you know, I have something up here for now as a potential upper short-term upper trend line. You know, we got our drop back in June that I was looking for. You know, in this channel that, you know, took forever. We just chopped in here and this price action sucked. And then we finally got our daily set up. I mean, oh my God, that was perfect daily. God, that's like these are the dailies I want. I know I've talked about this a million times, and I think this was on a weekend, you know. We get an initial drop, we chop sideways, here come the moving averages rolling down, the 8 and the 10, and then we get this little red tiny candle. I mean, like you're risking like not much. Like it's such a small candle. Like you put your stop up here, you know, once the lowest part of that candle, you know, breaks on the next day, you're in your trade, and then you just catch all that. Oh my God, like it's perfect. So, and then, you know, this was what, back in June, we got the drop, and then now we've just been, you know, chopping. We're above the moving averages right now, so it makes me think, you know, we could get up temporarily and then roll over. But how are we going to do that with the 2-week closing tomorrow? Is it going to stay green and then we get up temporarily, and then maybe next week we get a red weekly, and then the following week get a green or a red 2-week, and then dump it, you know, down to the lower trend line? This would take us down to around, you know, 57, 56. And then maybe we wick down and get to our 54, 53 area and then get back up. I don't know. It's going to be real interesting to see how they do this. You know, this is just Bitcoin. You know, total 3 altcoins. We kind of have this descending wedge that's kind of playing out. I really wish that there was a touch in here to really confirm it, but you know, we're just kind of chopping. This isn't a falling wedge because I would like to see it slope more downward like this. If it was a falling wedge. Oh shit. Hold on. More downward. This is more this way, like horizontal. So I just think that this will still end up playing in here, and then we'll drop lower. And we actually might have a nice candle set up to drop off of today. Look at this. So we get our red hanging man below the moving averages here. They're starting to cross. If we can get an inside red here, that could be our drop candle to drop off of, you know, at least temporarily. We've been, you know, up here on this top trend line for a while. maybe we get our candle close today and then we continue lower and test lower. Kind of interesting. So, I mean, this is a nice bottom trend line for sure. You know, touch back here, touch here, touch here. Even tighten it just a little bit. So, and then we have this trend line coming across. If I zoom out maybe a little bit, back here, here's a point, here's a point, here's a point. It's almost like an inverse cup and handle. A cup here, and then here's your handle. And then you also have another potential inverse cup and handle right here. Cup, and then here's your handle. And then this could lead to a huge drop on alts. Like, it's just crazy to think that we could potentially go even lower. Here's the 3-day candle. That's bearish. Higher high. You know, you had this green hammer, and then you trap the bulls with this candle. You know, you get up and then you come back down, get a red, you know, big body, you know, bearish candle. Moving averages aren't exactly right, but you know, these can roll back over here. 8 is above the 10. 2-day, you know, it's already broken the low of this green candle. Doesn't have a higher high. 8 is below the 10 though. I mean, it's just been chopping here, so you could dump off of this 2-day. You've almost got the 1-day, the 2-day, and the 3-day here looking right. Let's look at the weekly. Yeah, high is 691, so about even with this candle. Here's the moving average. Look how tight the 8 is here. You've come up to the 8 on the weekly. Yeah, so I mean, this will close in 1 day and 9 hours, and you know, we could drop more until then. We could, you know, maybe close like this where the body's inside the previous candle. You've already broken the low of this candle, but you know, and then the next week you could see, you know, a dump on alts. I mean, this looks like it's going to roll over and roll down here pretty soon. Not looking good for altcoins. Very, very bearish. Bitcoin's actually, you know, holding up a little bit better than alts are. Alts are still extremely weak. You know, I'm pretty much just sitting in, you know, cash. I don't want any, you know, money in alts right now, and I haven't for a while. Like, it's just, we haven't been above the moving averages looking to make a move. Like, look how long on these weeklies. Like, we've been below the 8 and the 10 for a long time. We just try to fight back up, but we can't. We just, for weeks and weeks and weeks, you know, we start to get back up here, but none of these candles look right to just keep going. Like, you know, maybe this one, maybe this green candle, this was like, you know, like one of the days where I was like, well, maybe they get it up and make a run here off of this green candle. You know, you chop sideways, here comes the moving average starting to roll. You get a lower low. It's just not the best looking weekly candle. It's like a green hanging man. It's not a big, you know, bullish looking hammer. If it was like more like this type of candle where it closes higher at the top and it's, you know, I would have liked it a lot more, but and then look what they do the next week, you know. You pretty much get equal highs, maybe break it a little bit, and then you just dump it. Pull it right back down below the moving averages, and that's where we've been. We've only had one candle where we started to get above the 20 in the last, you know, since, when was the last time, you know, where we were sitting above the 8, 10, 20, and it was back here in September 29th of 2025. So almost a year ago. So for altcoins, we've just been below everything. So there's just not been anything to get excited about. And it looks like we're about to get another leg lower here based on where the moving averages are at. So I think a lot of people, they kind of had this top trend line drawn, they had this bottom one drawn. They saw things kind of slowing down, and then when things kind of chopped in here and started to roll up, I think a lot of people got long, because they saw this top trend line starting to break, but it's not right yet. We didn't even complete in this pattern, so we can't even really say that that was a pattern. And honestly, you can delete this because it was incomplete. There's other patterns being played out now. Can delete all that. All we have is this little, descending wedge that's probably going to lead to a bigger move lower. And not to mention, I think I did mention this trend line right here. Look how big of a level this is right here. You could almost bold this because it's so important. Yeah, look at that. So we have a bearish pattern potentially developing in here, coming to this area right here. I mean, this is a big area where if we start to trade below this trend line, we could see a huge dump, like, a big move down. Kind of like the 1010 back here. Look at this wick back on alts. Look how much leverage came undone here. Like, if we break this trend line, we could see a huge monster move down on alts, just absolutely getting crushed. So, I mean, we're definitely getting there. Like, this is like almost go time again. I expect to see it sometime soon, within the next, few months, maybe weeks, months. I don't know. I don't know how long we're going to chop around on this trend line before dumping. But, I mean, this is a big level that I think is going to get taken out. And we should see a pretty big leg lower on alts. And, I mean, it could lead to the buying opportunity of a lifetime. We start coming down to these trend lines and start, maybe averaging in on a little spot. Maybe not such a bad idea, but let's look at the levels here. Like, I definitely think that this trend line coming across is definitely a level to keep an eye on. Down here, I can pull this far up. Let's pull it to there. Let's zoom out. Let's go to a 2-week. This goes back to 2017, 2020. There's a touch. There's only 2 touches on this bottom trend line. So, and that would be a heck of a ways down. Not to mention, you got these swings that come in here, a couple touches in here. If I tighten that up just a little bit, it's not perfect. I'll make it more perfect if we start to get close to that trend line. Then I'll go back down to a daily and I'll tighten this up. But I'm just leaving it here for now. And we have this level right here to get to. We have this level, and then we have our long-term, our most bottom trend line we can get. So I mean, we could, if we just measure this out, from where we're at. Hold on. Let's zoom in first. Okay, so if we get down to this, basically from where we're at right now, there's 22% lower to this trend line. There's, roughly 38% lower to that trend line with those swings. And then depending on where we get to there, that's 43% lower, which is a lot considering, we've already come down from our highs to where we're at now, basically 44%. So it's like we're halfway through this downtrend, and we have another half to go, which kind of makes sense. So, and then, I don't know what this will become pattern-wise, in the longer term, but it would be nice to get a touch down here on this yellow trend line, that way we kind of have this, upward channel. If we get a touch down here on this yellow trend line, like if we come down there, I am going to buy some spot on like a lot of stuff. Whereas this could come back up later, 2029, 2030, huge bull run, maybe, later on in a few years, like we could get up and make a huge run up to this upper trend line. Probably 2028, but, for now I still think we got some time to come down, bottom, and then get back up, hopefully, for alts, and total I think is similar. This is Bitcoin included, this is everything. I don't like that trend line, I don't know what that is. Let's zoom in here, let's see what we got. I don't know what some of this crap is. I'm going to delete some of this. Just make it easier to look at here. Yeah. Zoom back out real quick. Just fix some stuff. Okay, 1, 2. Don't have a lot of touches over here, but or is it more like this? This actually looks better. Touch there, touch there, touch there. I kind of like that better. With a little bit of a jab down here, you get back above. I think this bottom trend line looks better. Touch here, touch there, and then you play around with it. It really didn't get great touch in there. Maybe this candle, call it 3. But, we still have some area to come down, I think. And this is that level I'm talking about with like most things like altcoins, on total with Bitcoin, you have a kind of an inverse cup and handle right here where if you break this, you could see a big move down. And I mean, if you measured it, that'd be crazy. You come down all that far, like on a measured move, and you're already starting to play around with this trend line. You do have a green hammer right now on the 2-week for total, but the moving averages are getting pretty tight in here. Everything's pretty tight on the 3-day. Daily things are tight. Total actually got a red hanging man, but it is above the 20 on the daily right now. And we're just playing right on this trend line. Like, we're just kind of, flirting with danger right now. And total does have a higher high on the 2-week. So the 2-week closes tomorrow. Let's look at it. Yes, it does. It does have a higher high than the previous screen. So, I mean, if this closes red tomorrow, your moving averages are going to move even closer after tomorrow's close, and this will get pretty tight in here on the 2-week, and you could drop off of that. You're starting to threaten this swing here. I mean, this is important. So, I don't know how long they're going to take with it, though. I mean, like I talked about, that green 3-week still is in the back of my mind where things could get up. But everything else looks like it's ready to go. Let's look at our weekly. Oh, wow. Here's the deal. I mean, with this weekly, if we get a red weekly on total tomorrow, like if we get this candle, breaks the high of this red, then comes down, closes without breaking the low, tomorrow, we can somehow get a bigger body candle, by tomorrow's close, like that's gonna dump over the next week. Then I just don't know how it doesn't at that point. Like you've chopped sideways as the moving averages catch up on the weekly, and then you get your candle here. You come up into the moving averages, and then if you close below that trend line that comes across here, inside this candle without breaking the low, it's going to be a perfect candle to just dump off of for total. So, just interesting. That could potentially be the setup candle. And I'm really hoping it's not something dumb like back here where you do get a nice candle to drop off of and you only get 1 week down before they rally it. Hopefully that this is the type of candle that will lead to multiple weeks down and should catch some really nice trades and everything. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, that's just nice. It did break the low though. This is others. So it's like altcoins that are outside of the top 10. Wow, the moving averages are rolling down. You come up into them, you pull down, big body, red. That could lead to a big drop on alts. I mean, it's looking like it too. Here's others compared to Bitcoin. So altcoins were doing good first Bitcoin. Now it looks like alts are going to struggle. You can see the 8 starting to roll over the 10. This looks like this is going to trade back down. So alts look like they'll probably be weak. I mean, this could come down a ways too. USDT is another clue that we kind of have. If we zoom out, what do I want to go do? A daily or what do I want to do here? Let's zoom out on USDT. Let's go to a monthly. I mean, look where we're at. Trend line coming here, touch. We could probably pull this up just a bit. Right there. So we get a touch back here, touch here, touch here. Now we've come back up, pretty strong green, continuation candle. And it's kind of failed here, but at this trend line. But, it has no upper wick, so if it wants to get up, it can here. And this will lead to, crypto being very weak. Anytime USDT dominance is getting up, it means that crypto is weak. So I like that we're pretty flat on top, which makes me think we are going to come up. The moving averages are still rolling up here. Let's go down to a 3-week and look at it. We do have a red reversal 3-week, but it's not sitting way up here above the moving averages. Like, it's still pretty, close with the moving averages. Like, you could come down, drop, and then come back up, get a green, and that could, that could send it. 2-week has a new lower low, closes in 1 day. So if it gets a green, it can get up. It's pretty small green candle right now, but it is green above the moving averages. Did get kind of a inverse hangman green candle last week, which you can get up off of, but we've already broken the low on that. If we can get a green close tomorrow, that'll be unicorn-esque that we could be on our way. Like, this would be beautiful if this got up and got a green close tomorrow. That's, decent lower low candle. Moving averages aren't right, but green 3-day. Green inside 2-day, but moving averages kind of make it look bearish, like it will roll over, but up against the green, so we'll see. Has a green daily, but would like to see it, get up here and close up high at the end of today. It's make me think that it's going to roll back up. What was it? XLM had a decent. I mean, look at the area where XLM is at. Look at this trend line. It comes down here. It's not perfectly drawn, but it's close. 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. Look at this red inverse back here. I don't know if that high will get broken, but we'll see. Maybe we come up, touch this trend line one more time, set up, roll over, and dump. That's kind of a nice pattern going on there. There were some nice patterns I saw. SHIB actually, I think, has a nice, longer term pattern. Let's see here. Let me zoom out to weekly. My computer doesn't fail me. So slow. This is XRP. I want to show SHIB and then a crypto called People. I think I've talked about. I think both of them have pretty good long-term patterns. So let's do this again. Why is it so slow right now? Trading View has been so slow recently. Okay, here we go. Here's SHIB. This is a 3-week chart, but kind of look at this like falling wedge we have going here on SHIB. Like, kind of interesting. I mean, could it be a descending wedge? Like, it's close between like a falling wedge and descending wedge, but here's a weekly. Look how many weeks we've been in this pattern, just kind of, kind of coiling in here. Like, like if we just keep, coming down, then maybe set up and then get up and go, maybe later this year would be interesting. I did notice this pattern, and look at the bigger pattern it's kind of come out of. Like it's already, SHIB has already kind of come down a lot to this pattern that it was in. It was kind of in this pattern here, played around with this yellow trend line, and has since dropped. But we've also got this kind of bullish pattern here, longer term, that hopefully, maybe this will be considered a jab that where we can work back up into here, coil in here and then fire maybe 2029, 2030, make a big move. If not, if it fails and this is a descending wedge, like you're talking about a long ways down, there's 67%, potentially 60, anywhere 60, 70, 75% down. And then at that point, we're talking about a whole new structure for SHIB. But I wonder how much further Shiba Inu has to go, because we seem like we're so far down and we're at kind of like the apex of this pattern, where I don't know how much further down we really need to go. And another altcoin I was looking at was People. It's kind of in the same boat here. Or like it's got this nice pattern. I really like this pattern. Just coiling in here. Coiling. And it's getting close to the apex. Look at this weekly it has though right now. It's inverse red. We should dump off of this. We should come down. Maybe coil a little bit longer into this year, and maybe at the end of this year we get back up and make a move. Maybe. Wow, it's it's just this pattern's been in the making for so long. This looks more like a falling wedge because how sharply down it is. It's not like more horizontal, which would be a descending wedge. This is more downward. So I think, and we're right at a longer term trend line, touch back here, touch here, and we're kind of playing on this trend line right now. But I do think we're going to break below it, maybe temporarily for a few weeks, and then fight to get back up at the end of this year. But I am watching this pattern. If there's a candle set up, somewhere down here, maybe in August, September, October, like I'll get in this thing because I definitely think that this could lead to a big move up at some point, potentially. But until we start fighting above the moving averages, I won't really care as much. And if it gets up and goes, then so be it. But I'm not going to play bad candle setups. Started trading options a little bit more on Robinhood. So I've been adding some stocks to look at. Let's see here. I basically getting in and out of stuff. I bought some spot SpaceX when it was around 140, but it's really come down. It's been kind of struggling. If we go to a daily, it initially got up. I tempted myself not to buy any spot because I knew that it was probably gonna, have some sort of a pullback. And I think when it came back down and we got this green day back here, I bought some kind of where it kind of opened from. I bought a little spot. It did get up. It came back down. I think I bought some more spot right here. Once it kind of bounced off this, trend line, I had, a lower kind of thing drawn, prematurely. And then it kind of has broken down since. And so I kind of have this thing drawn where we could potentially get down to. I took from back here, and then from where we broke out at, this takes us down to about $96, $95 on SpaceX. So if we come down there, I'll buy some more spot. I think that this, in the longer term of things, will be a generational buy. I mean, I really do. I think, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now that, this thing will be a monster. So I definitely don't want to miss out on any opportunities at these prices to buy. I know that there's potentially it could come down, even further, and I'm not going to trade with leverage on SpaceX. I definitely just want this in my portfolio, just to have, because of, the potential importance of what, this company could be to the future. And if it plays out, it plays out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at these prices, I don't think I want to miss out on this. Tesla is still not, done much. Actually had a really nice reversal short back here. I had an options trade for a longer term and I closed it. It's just not getting up. Kind of frustrating. It does have this kind of falling wedge pattern, but it's kind of ugly now. Or if it'll drop back down, play into it. I may buy some spot if it gets down to this trend line. It's still got a nice pattern overall. If we go out to a weekly, I still really like, the initial get up, then you coil in here. Been a few years of coiling in here, and I still think we can make a monster move out of Tesla. We're coming down into an area right now where we should see support. We have this trend line here, and we got this one down here, and I think we can trade down. And I may try again, if we come down this trend line, I may try and open a new option, and maybe for late or mid 2027, maybe see us get up before then. I would like us to see us do that. I still have faith in this yearly about. We're dead flat on top. So, I mean, look at this yearly. We have moving averages, green, get a green hammer here, another green hammer, and we're just dead flat on this. You're telling me we're not going to come up and, make a move with this setup right here? Like, that's crazy. We're just dead flat on this year. Like, I would like us to break the high of what is this? 458? We're at 380 right now, so. But the only thing that's weird about it is this 6 month. Like, we got this red 6 month candle. That doesn't look right. Yearly looks great, but this doesn't look right at all. Like, maybe we need to come down, maybe get equal lows and then get back up, and then, I don't know, break the high. It's kind of weird now, so. Unsure, but we've already come down a lot on the new 6 month candle. Like, we've already had a pretty decent drop. 3 month, this is a decent 3 month to get up off of. I like this. It's a big body. It's not really a hammer because it's got an upper wick to it, but if we just turn off the trend lines real quick, like this looks nice as a 3 month candle. Our yearly and 3 month look really good, and we're coming in close to the 8 here. Like, I would like to see this get up, now pretty much. Like, it needs to start getting up. Let's look at our 2 months. We're up off of a red, bigger body 2 months, but we're sitting on the moving averages. Like I said, just want to see it get up here. And the monthly, red hammer, moving averages don't look right. This looks bearish on the monthly. So, I mean, it's got to fight to get back up and twist these moving averages back the right way, because it doesn't look right. So, Tesla, SpaceX, I definitely have some in spot for the longer term. Silver's come down a lot. It's down to 55. It got down to, what did it get down to? 54. Still looks like it potentially has lower, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll bottom down here and then get back up. Kind of hard to tell. Gold rolling over, same thing. Could bottom down here on the 20 and get back up. What else? Is there anything else I want to look at? MSTR MicroStrategy. I had some shorts on, or I guess put options. I saw this level really piqued my interest because look at this pattern. I mean, I had this drawn, touch here, play there, like this is just a massive level here. Kind of a shoulder, a head, a shoulder. You could say inverse cup, handle, all bearish things. And it was back here, and I think we had a reversal candle, like this one right here, or actually, it was this one right here on the daily, and I put on a put option, caught a lot of that, took some profit down here off this green candle, and now it's been chopping again. And I'm kind of looking for another short opportunity to get back in and maybe catch a big leg down on MicroStrategy. And this kind of correlates with Bitcoin. It's just really bearish. 12 months, same thing as Bitcoin. It had that, kind of a red reversal. Doesn't have a higher high than the previous, but, bearish overall. 6 months. Bearish red. It just looks like it's rolling. Like, doesn't look great. And then that also correlates with MicroStrategy. Let's see here. Let's go down to daily. Could also had something similar. I don't know. I saw something. Let's see. Was it a daily I liked? Maybe a weekly. 3-day. I had a put option, I believe, on this. Yeah, I think I saw this on the weekly. Get a big move down, then we come back up and the moving averages are rolling down. I think I put a put because I like this weekly setup. And it'll still look good. Still looks really nice. So I'm thinking we could see a big move down on MicroStrategy. Yeah, I mean, DJT, I had a, let's see, I put a call option on DJT. I think this is like Trump stock or whatever. We got down to this lower trend line here. We had like a daily to get up off of, and you know, overall, I think I like the longer term pattern on this. You know, we've coiled in here, and then we broke down through, but we're in this really nice falling wedge. Like, you know, there's some play around it, but this has a chance to get up and make a move, and I definitely want to be in this. You know, what's crazy with this is I remember back when it went live and it got up to 173. It's at $8 right now. Like, it's really been beat down. So I think this has a chance to get up here because of this structure, this coiling in here I've been looking at. You know, and I think this has a chance to get up and make a move. If not now, maybe it'll sell back down, and maybe later on, later this year or next year. But I mean, it's threatening right now, so I definitely want to have some DJT just for the fact that it's got a chance to make a move higher. That this could be near a bottom down here. So I kind of like it for that reason. It's got a nice candle, actually, a daily candle where it could get up off of green hammer. Sitting a little bit high, like we're kind of extended here, so I kind of want it to chop sideways and then go. So this is just like another thing I'm looking at. There's some patterns out there that are, with Shiba, the people crypto, DJT, like there's some nice structural patterns that I do like long term. Tesla's got a really long term pattern I like. So there's a few things out there that look good if you're a bull for the long term, but a lot of the short term stuff still looks pretty bearish. Whether it's crypto or stocks. Like I didn't even talk about Nasdaq or it's just starting to look bearish again here. Like we had this, where we were in this rising wedge, and then we broke out of it, and we really should have went lower, but then we just went on a tear here, an absolute freaking tear. And now it looks like we're kind of topping out here and rolling back over. So, it looks, didn't get to my upper trend line either, so that makes me a little worried. We're playing with this trend line, kind of looks kind of toppy. We need to roll down. I don't know. I kind of a tough call with that sort of stuff. SPX. We gap down back here. Haven't reached the upper trend line yet, so it makes me think that we could have one more burst in us to the upside. If I zoom out, let's do that. Let's go even more. 3 week. And this goes back a long time. 2010. Touches in there, touch there. I mean, you really telling me that we're not going to make it up to that, trend line that goes back 16 years? Like, get up there, one more little burst up, touch it, and then roll over. NASDAQ. Look at that. Touch back here. Touch there. We're so close. Like, just get there, Can only take a few days, a few weeks. Touch here, touch there, touch there, touch there. We're so close. Like, all three of these, whether it's YM, not NASDAQ, SPX, we're very close to that upper trend line. Like, it's not that much further, ways up there. It's we're talking, if it got there now, it's at 7,457. If we could just get up, I mean, that's 8,100. I don't know what percentage that would be from where we're at. 7 to 8, between 7 and 9% higher. SPX, NASDAQ is what? Where we're at down here. And it's got a little ways to go. 15% higher. Maybe we set up as the moving averages come up, and they're going to want to pump the market right before the midterms, so it's another thing that's in the back of my mind. YM. This trend line up here is 13%, 12%. So we're talking about 7 to 17% higher with these, and then before topping potentially. We're close. We're almost there. Let's zoom back out here. Look at that trend line. Maybe I need to bold this one. Let's bold it. Let's not bold this one. Let's keep that light. Yeah. So that's a good trend line that comes up here. So yeah, I mean this is pretty much it. Like, there's really nothing imminent. I still think, maybe we could. It's kind of a gray area in the short term, but I'm still leaning bearish. I still have my targets for Bitcoin. Nothing has changed on that. 50,000 on Bitcoin's an interesting level. That comes back a long ways, and 48, 50K. So that's kind of where I'm thinking. I definitely think 54K is, our easiest target to achieve, that I've talked about all year, but I still think we could go even lower than that potentially, And crypto's been weak overall. There hasn't been much to make me think that, it's bottomed or it's finding strength. Other than temporary pullbacks to the upside, I'm still pretty bearish. So until we get a nice monthly green candle, I mean, at the very least, I want to see a green monthly to even consider going long on anything, but still pretty bearish overall. So we'll check in. Maybe, I don't know, might not be for a while. Maybe not till mid-August. Be going out of town soon, so might not have an update video for a while. So I just wanted to make a little bit of a longer video today. Until then, just kind of showing some things that I'm looking at and seeing, and we'll update later at another time and go over things.